The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Man, I tell you what, I got to get me a voice like that.
Fancy.
Who is that voice? Voice from
telling you.
down beyond. That guy's got some pipes.
We've got big time now. You have a sounder for recruiting?
Well, that's
off
Josh.
the charts now.
That's Josh, yeah. By the way, you are coming in extremely loud. You might want to turn yourself down.
You told me earlier I was too soft.
Well, now you're
make up your mind.
Now you're too loud. So. By the way, I know it's not news, and you're in Sardis. This doesn't make news in Sardis, but Caleb Davis announced that he's pulled out of the draft and going back to Arizona. Not
Caleb
new.
Love.
We're going to call that what I say.
Caleb Davis.
I'm sorry, Caleb Love. We're going to call it news that's not news. How about that? Does it fit that category?
News that's not news.
News that's not news. Yeah? You like that?
That works.
News that's not news.
That's not news.
Speaking of Seawells, they do bring you the recruiting report right here on Sports Talk every night. The daily luncheon buffet rolls on. It is the one buffet in America that is undefeated.
Believe it or not, tomorrow is Roast Beef Thursday.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's Friday?
Time.
What's Friday?
Friday is Thanksgiving. They kind of switched it up. Normally Thursday.
I'm not happy about that.
Well, we don't know.
Too many people plan their weeks around a Roast Beef Friday. Now they got to adjust their schedule. So listen up. If you had planned on a Roast Beef Friday, roast beef is going to be carved on Thursday this week.
Yeah, so tomorrow is roast beef, teriyaki glazed salmon, fried pork chops, and then Friday is carved turkey with cornbread dressing, fried chicken, and baked flounder fillets. Baked flounder fillets.
Baked fillets of flounder.
That's right.
The flounder, fresh out of the congaree.
Yep.
And specifically prepared by the chefs at Seawells. And then, of course, for the best in the catering business, you just give Seawells a call and let them handle all the hard lifting. 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. They've been at it for about 80 years now, about as long as Sports Talk's been around. So you know they're high quality. 803-771-7385.
I hear that corn was born at Seawells.
Well, you heard wrong.
I don't know where I heard
first
that.
of all,
that on the grand opening day.
That would drop their rating from an A to a C from the health department. Imagine all the blood and everything they'd have to clean up around there if that were.
I don't want to think about that, but that's just what I heard.
Yeah. Okay. To the recruiting report, linebacker Jaden Breaker, 6'4", 214, Snellville, Georgia, is going to be one of those prospects visiting South Carolina this weekend. USC defensive ends coach Sterling Lucas actually paid him a school visit this spring, and that got the momentum going. And then linebackers coach Clayton White got him to a campus to watch a spring practice. He's a big fan of Jadeveon Clowney. He went to the practice, and he talked to the coaches, and he talked to Coach White afterwards, and they ended up offering him, surprisingly, because at first they kind of indicated they weren't, and then by the end of practice – they offered him, and then on his ride home, they called him up and got him locked down for an official visit this weekend. So South Carolina is one of the schools that's high up on his lists. He is going to take other officials. He's got Rutgers, Utah, NC State, and Kentucky, and possibly one to USF before he makes his decision in July. This past season, he was in on 60 tackles. He said most of those were solo because he plays Sam linebacker. And he had a couple of sacks, and he had about 8 tackles for loss. One of the fast-rising quarterbacks in the 26 class had 49 touchdown passes, 3,561 passing yards. That's Cam O'Hara, 6'2", 180 out of Union, Kentucky. And he was in to see Clemson in the spring. Tigers haven't offered yet because they don't offer until June 1, the next class. Austin Peay, Kentucky, Miami of Ohio, Tennessee State, Akron, Western Kentucky, they've all offered. Louisville got a recent visit. And he also made stops at Clemson and Purdue. He was at Clemson for one of their spring practices, and he loves the Clemson culture and about all the winning they do at Clemson. So he's very impressed with what he saw there. And so Clemson's going to be one of those schools he'll continue. Of course, they've got to make the offer first. And Kentucky looks like it's going to be a factor with him as well. He plans to return for a camp at Clemson in June and throw again for the Tigers, throw for Sweeney and for Garrett Riley. And then, of course, if he gets an offer from Clemson, that would be a big highlight for him. Cornerback Grayson Littleton has set up an official visit to Clemson for Monday. Can't make it in this weekend because he's going to Penn State, so he won't be with the big group. He'll come in on Monday. He's got Alabama after he goes to Penn State this weekend. Then he comes to Clemson. Then he goes to Alabama the 7th, then Oklahoma, and then Iowa. 2026 quarterback Brody McWhorter has Clemson down for a camp stop on June the 4th. Blythewood defensive tackle Sterling Sanders plans to make a camp stop at USC June 14th. Now to basketball. 6'4" Arkansas transfer Miriam Dauda is transferring to South Carolina. She averaged 10 points per game last season and I guess is considered one of the top players in the female transfer portal, John, for this coming year, for this class. So,
is there multiple? Is it just
no, it's only one, but I like to separate them.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I don't believe in the blending. I believe in the separation. So, but she is coming to South Carolina, another tall, long, athletic player coming to the South Carolina program. Speaking of tall and long, Coastal Carolina, Chris, signed 7-foot transfer Noah Amenhauser.
They're going to be big this coming season, that's for sure.
They're going to look good coming off the plane, aren't they?
There's no doubt. There is no doubt.
He was a freshman last season at Grand Canyon. He played in 13 games. He shot 78% from the field. He scored 16 points, and he grabbed 6 rebounds. So there you go. He's probably got some work to do. Coastal also signed 6-foot Oklahoma State transfer Naz Brown. He was a walk-on with the Cowboys, redshirted last season after playing 11 games as a freshman. And 6'9" Cooper Kowalski of First Baptist. He signed with Charleston Southern.